Good Friday morning to you. I'm Fox 16 Chief Meteorologist Joel Young here alongside myself. It's just me today. And of course, I'm also live on Facebook here behind the scenes, giving you a little behind the scenes look at how things work and also taking questions there. It's a little easier for me to take questions there. I'd like to eventually be able to get all that full here on our regular live stream, but it's just kind of how we do things, especially like whenever I'm solo. It's a little easier for me to have a conversation with you, and so give me your comments, let me know where you're watching from, and really appreciate you tuning in. As for what's happening right now, we have mostly clear skies, a little cloud coverage off in northern Arkansas there. At times, clouds come in and out. At least it's not as cloudy as it was last week, earlier this week. At least we have some sunshine and some pretty mild temperatures right now. We are actually sitting, let's look at the actual temperature right now. We are at 56 degrees. I expect that we are going to see those temperatures climb into the low 60s briefly this afternoon. I've got Charlotte Gunner Rutherford commenting here on Facebook, watching from Jackson, Mississippi. I really appreciate all of you back in Mississippi for continuing to tune in. I've been in Arkansas now 4 years, and I still have some loyal viewers over in Mississippi. So I really appreciate you, Charlotte, for continuing to tune in. And, as we track this weather here in Arkansas, which always eventually gets to Mississippi, right? So it's still relevant to all of you who continue to watch over on that side of the Mississippi River. We've got a big cold snap on the way, and I'm going to show you here in a moment temperatures across the north, where our air is going to be coming from as we get into the weekend. There's a live look right now at Arkansas Storm Team satellite radar temperatures across the state. We are in the mid-50s, obviously, in the metro. South Arkansas, we've got 50 Camden, a little extra cloud coverage there in South Arkansas as well. Mountain Home right now under a little bit of cloud coverage there as well, so that seems to be the colder spot at 48. But look at Mena right now at 61 degrees. So it is certainly, temperatures actually 62 looks like the warm spot there in Pine Bluff. But, it just depends on where there's clouds. And where there's clouds, it's sometimes thick clouds. But where there's sunshine, it's mostly sunny. And so it's not exactly a one-size-fits-all forecast for the entire state, which we deal with fairly often, when you have varying conditions across the state based off of cloud coverage, where we have sunshine and whatnot. But I know everybody really wants to know about this big cold that's on the way. And I'm just showing you temperature guidance. And by the way, for those of you who are at home and maybe aren't able to see the graphics as well, you can at least see it here. I can't take it full here, but and at some point maybe I'll be able to figure out how to do that. I'd love to be able to do that here as well. But for those of you watching on the live stream, you can see it there in the box in the top left. This is a brief cold snap. Sunday probably going to stay right around freezing. Some places might get up to 33. I think I'm forecasting 33. But, it's going to be sunny. It's just that we're going to have a north wind all day, and it's going to be windy. So even if we do get in the 30s, it won't feel like 30s. We'll be in the wind chills in the 20s all day. And we'll talk a little more about what the wind chill means. I know it gets kind of frustrating when we say, this is the temperature, but this is what it feels like. And people are like, well, why don't you just tell me what it feels like? And then I get a little hung up because, if I tell you what it's going to feel like, then you're going to think that your pipes are going to burst instantaneously, because the pipes do not react to they do not react to the wind chill. They react to the temperature. Humans react to the wind chill. So when you get out Sunday morning, you're going to be in the 20s, and you're going to have wind chills that are in the teens. We'll show you those feels like temperatures real quickly. In fact, I've been showing on the air the European model data because it's been a little bit farther out. But now that we're getting closer in time, I'm going to show you the graph model data here, and we'll walk you through. So Saturday morning is going to be cold, but it's not going to be near as cold as Sunday morning when wind chills, and I don't know why this is taking so long to update the color. There we go. 6 a.m. wind chills. Graph is right on with the European, and you can see when you see these streaks across there in color, those you see how it almost looks like that's the wind that's blowing that cold air in. 6 a.m. wind chills Sunday when you're heading out to church, mid and upper teens in the metro, up in the Ozarks, northern Arkansas, single digits to low teens. It's going to be incredibly cold. So you've got to dress warm. Pipes will react to temperatures in the 20s, and you could have some pipes that perhaps burst, but I don't think this is going to be, that kind of cold snap, especially considering it's short-lived. I do want to take a couple of questions here, or at least acknowledge some comments here. Danny, tuning in from Salgahachia. I probably said that wrong, Danny, but at least that was an attempt, right? Salgahachia? Keith, do you know how to say that? Have you ever heard of Salgahachia? Yeah, I'm talking. So I'm on live here, and someone commented and said they are watching from Salgahachia. And I don't know that I said that right. Of course, they can't tell me. But, hey, it's close enough there. Appreciate you tuning in, Danny. Barbara here, what area? The whole state is going to be very cold, Barbara, but northern Arkansas is going to see the wind chills that will get down into the single digits, teens there. And then during the afternoon, when the temperature gets into the low and mid-30s, that wind will continue to blow, making it feel like mid-20s or so there, teens in northeast Arkansas. And then as we head into Monday morning, the wind chill is going to be a little more, I won't say tolerable. The temperature is going to be colder than Sunday morning, but there won't be as much wind. And we'll talk about how strong the wind will be here in a moment. But the wind will ease up some. So you're not going to have the single-digit wind chills as much as you would have teens, but the actual temperature itself will be cold enough that it'll be very similar to Sunday morning in terms of the temperature. Also, I just realized I think I have to scroll down to see any more comments. All right, okay. No, there are actually no more comments other than that. But anyway, so this is mostly just a big cold. We're not talking about any sort of winter weather in terms of precip. Obviously, cold is winter weather, but we're talking about no rain chances other than maybe a sprinkle on Saturday. Look, this is model guidance, by the way. 10% Saturday. That's what I went with to begin with. And I think at one point I had 20 and I dropped it down to 10. But I'll show you real quickly here on Forecast Track how that plays out. Of course, today we've got some clouds that come and go. But overnight tonight, clouds are going to build in from the south. And tomorrow morning, we'll actually see the clouds increase during the night and tomorrow morning. But as we head through the day on Saturday, notice in southeast Arkansas there could be a little bit of light drizzle, maybe some mist. It's going to be a cold drizzle, but we're not talking about anything freezing. Our temperatures during the day Saturday should be mostly in the 40s, maybe even some low 50s in South Arkansas. So I'm not concerned about anything in terms of winter weather because by the time that coldest air gets here, and by the way, you can see those cloud streaks there, that is just kind of indicative of the direction the wind is going to be blowing, and it's going to be blowing hard Sunday morning. It's going to clear us out. I mean, that cold wind is going to come in with such ferociousness. But anyway, ferocity maybe. I don't know. But it's going to come in so strong that it's going to push all the clouds out of here. So we're going to see sunshine Sunday, but it's not going to do us any good because that wind is going to be blowing so hard. And when I say so hard, I mean it's maybe not as strong as it's going to just bite because it's so cold. Barbara, tuning in from Northeast Arkansas. Really appreciate you tuning in there, Barbara. Looking for any other comments. I never heard whether I was pronouncing Salgahachia. It might be Salgahachia. Anyway, but looking at beyond the cold snap, and again, let me go back to temperature guidance and show you how quickly we do climb out of that deep freeze. And that tells me that pipes aren't going to be as much of an issue. You're going to have, there might be some homes that don't have the greatest insulation, maybe an older house. It just depends on how well insulated your home is. But, check on your neighbors, check on your pets, bring your pets inside. It's going to be cold for a little while. And in some cases, maybe cold enough for some pipes to burst, but I really don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. I would still put your faucets on a slow drip. I I would, leave your cabinets open, especially if that sink is bordering an exterior wall. But otherwise, I think we're going to be just fine. I think we're going to warm up pretty quickly. Monday, we're above freezing. And Sunday, some places will probably get above freezing. Like I said, I'm forecasting 33. But Monday, up to 39 or 40. Wouldn't be shocked to see 41. But then Tuesday, low 50s. And then Wednesday, I think we're maybe getting closer to the 60s there. So we're going to be warming up. And let me show you, this is what we call POPs, probability of precipitation. It shows 50% chance of rain on Thursday. I'm not a big fan of saying 50. I actually went with 20% just because I'm not leaning into too many models right now. I want to kind of wait and see. It doesn't look like it's a lot of moisture to work with, so I went with low POPs at this point. But this is just guidance. This is just the model speaking. And again, I'm just, let's see. I also want to look, though, at low temperatures over the next 10 days. This is also guidance, model guidance. And Sunday morning is showing, oh, yeah, I forgot. This graphic is a little off, so I'm not going to show that. I can explain why, but anyway, all that said, it's going to be cold. It's going to be briefly cold. Then as we head into next week, after we've had a chance to turn a little milder, we will see some showers perhaps. I wanted to show you the European model here. It goes out a little bit farther, and I'm going to turn off these fronts. I don't want to make it any more confusing there, but so Sunday, we've got sunshine. Monday, looks like we'll have some sunshine. But Tuesday, clouds start to return. And then this shows a little bit of a few sprinkles Tuesday evening. I think maybe as we head into Wednesday morning, that might become a little bit more likely. Thursday looks like that's when showers peak, and it looks fairly light at this point. So that's when we're looking at our next chance of precip. But notice all the winter weather stays northeast of Arkansas, and that's where the core of the coldest air that comes in is going to exist. In fact, whenever I'm going to show another map here. But the bulk of that coldest air is going to be northeast of us, and you can see here as I advance here forward into Monday morning, coldest temperatures in Arkansas. But the deep purples, that real cold air, is going to be up in Illinois, Indiana, and places northeast of Arkansas. So I don't anticipate us getting the biggest dose of that. It's going to kind of sideswipe us, but still some very cold air. Don't get me wrong. And so for us here in Arkansas, it's incredibly cold. So just be mindful of that going into the next few days. So again, it's going to be a cold one, and Sunday it's going to bite. Make sure you're wearing a coat. Make sure it's a heavy coat. Check on your neighbors, the elderly, anyone who may be a little more vulnerable to this kind of cold. Check on them, but thankfully we're not going to be dealing with any sort of dangerous roads or anything along those lines. So again, if you're tuning in on the live stream, we appreciate it. Comment. Let me know where you're watching from. I know we've gotten a few comments here, but just wanted to check in and see if anyone there was still watching on Facebook. But it's a little bit more challenging doing these live streams here by myself because, when Todd's here, when Jenna's here, or when Juliana's here, we're able to kind of banter. And, I'm just all by myself today. So anyway, I've got, of course, KARK 4 News coming up at noon. Todd will be here for 4, 5, and 6, but this evening, Todd and I are both going to be live out at the Saline County Courthouse at Christmas on the Square there in Saline County. So be sure to tune in. We'll be doing weather live out there in the field coming up this evening. And then as we go into the weekend, like I said, it's going to be a cold one. That's what we're going to be really talking about this evening. And thankfully, other than that, there's not a lot of moisture going on. We don't have to deal with any slick roads at this point, it looks like, this week with this cold snap. So I don't anticipate any big problems. So that's why we're not making a huge deal out of this. But just know as we get into Sunday, especially Monday morning as well, when those temperatures really drop, make sure that faucet's just on a slow drip and make sure the pets are inside and whatnot there. All right, Marilyn says, what about Christmas Day from Mena, Arkansas? Marilyn, I appreciate you watching from out in Mena. I will tell you, the next several days once we get past that cold snap early next week, it does look like it turns a little warmer than average. Again, looking at highs the next few days, we're probably going to have some 60s there into late next week, maybe even into the following weekend. That gets us into Christmas week. Now, Christmas is still a little less than 2 weeks out. So that's really, getting out there, way off. So, and I've heard meteorologists, they call it kind of voodoo land. You never know exactly what's going to happen really beyond 7 days. 7 days it can be challenging enough to forecast something that's 7 days out. Beyond that, much more difficult. But that said, it does look like it'll be warmer than average in the days leading up to Christmas. But somewhere around Christmas, that pattern appears to break some. Does it break fiercely? Do we get a big cold snap after several days in possibly the 50s and 60s above average? That's possible. So as we go into late month, I should say, beyond Christmas, there are some signs that maybe it starts to get even colder. But again, that's getting way out there. But Maryland, keep checking back. We're going to be talking a lot more about the Christmas forecast. It's hard to believe that we're even getting within sight of that, though. That just, to me, my brain is still in November. I feel like we just never had Thanksgiving. Obviously we did, but I've been in protest. I feel like time is just slipping away from us. And I refuse to believe that we are and Christmas always sneaks up on you, but then you don't even think about New Year's until after Christmas. And so New Year's is 3 weeks away. 2026 is less than, let me make sure that's right, 3 weeks away. Yeah. 3 weeks from now is January the 2nd. So anyway, we will be able to give you an answer about that Christmas forecast very soon. So again, thank you so much, Marilyn, for tuning in. Out in Mena, a beautiful place. We had some great pictures out there the other day. I don't think I have it loaded now. I'm just remembering earlier this week, we had a little bit of freezing fog up in the Rich Mountain area, up Queen Wilhelmina State Park in that area. And I mean, when Mena, and especially if Mena gets snow, it looks like a postcard out of a western town. It's a beautiful place. I've only been through there once, but I would love to get out there and go up to Queen Wilhelmina State Park. I've heard great things. I've heard it's a beautiful place. So again, thank you so much for tuning in on the live stream and interacting here. Like I said, I've got a live show coming up at noon, so I'm probably going to wrap this up just a little bit early. But stay tuned. We're going to be keeping you updated on this, this big cold snap. I call it a big cold snap because it is a big cold snap, but it's a brief cold snap. So that makes all the difference there as we head into Sunday, into Monday. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. I will continue to show some graphics here behind the scenes, but we'll see you at noon on Arkansas Today.